Welcome, Trailblazers. Welcome to another edition of Entrepreneur Journey. I am your host, Doug Greathouse, and I am so pleased to have Robert Doran with us today. And Robert, tell us the name of your business and just a little bit about you.
My name's Rob, or Robert, whichever you prefer. I introduce myself as Rob. I own Elite Mindset Masters. I've come from the marketing agency space of entrepreneurship. But like so many, I'm finding out that wasn't for everyone, despite what Ty Lopez wanted it to be in 2017 or whatever it was. And I've moved on to teaching how to think better in order to tap into more of your potential and have a tangible process for doing so.
Nice. And we're going to go into the story about the switch, I think, when we talk about your entrepreneur journey.
Perfect.
But what I always like to do with guests is have a little fun at the beginning. So the first question I have for you, what do you think about garden gnomes?
Right. So I told you just before we jumped on, I have quite a story about garden gnomes.
Nice.
I have no emotional attachment to them, but as soon as you ask me about them, this is the story that comes to mind. So basically, am I allowed to swear, or is this a PG?
Think of it PG-13, right?
Right. Well, I was a little shit. Let's go with that. You can say that as long as it's only once or twice, right?
Yeah.
I was when I was younger. And I learned to drive in my dad's car, and I was allowed to drive that in the afternoons after college and school or whatever. But I had to have it back before the morning for him to be able to use it for work. So I'd been at my girlfriend's house, and I was driving back to my parents in order to have the car back in time. And I liked going very fast at that time. It was a Ford Escort car, but like the engine was like turbo. It was good. And I was being followed, and I hate being followed. So I sped up even more. I pulled off the motorway into where my parents live. And I see behind me in the streetlights, it was a police car following me.
Oh.
I was like, here we go. Wish I hadn't done that. Pulled over, and they were like, do you know how fast you were going? And this was at like 1 or 2 in the morning. And I was like, I don't know, officer. I'm really sorry. I'm tired, and I just want to go to bed. They're like, right, open your boot. And I was like, what?
Wow.
All right. Opened it, and it was completely empty, which even for me was a bit of a surprise. Totally empty. I'd actually cleared out all the stuff, music gear that I had in there the previous day, just hours before. And they were really shocked. I was like, why, officer? Are you asking me to open my boot? I thought you wanted to tell me if they're going too fast. And they were like, well, we had some reports of a silver car coming out of a roundabout where you've just left from, having stolen all the garden gnomes at the local garden centre.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was like, sorry to disappoint, but it wasn't me. Can I go to bed now?
Wow. Just for the audience, we did not plan this question. Like, I just come up with random questions off the top of my head for this section. And I had no idea that Rob was going to have this story for us, that he might have been a garden gnome thief.
They were so disappointed that it wasn't me as well. Like they'd had to do some keeping up to like be able to pull me over, and then for me not to have had the garden gnomes. Yeah, and they knew that the real culprit had got away.
That makes me think of some kind of cop comedy movie, right?
Yeah, like Hot Fuzz or something ridiculous. Yeah. Like I can imagine it maybe happening in Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Jake Peralta being very angry.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So the next question is, what was the last gift you gave someone?
Every day's a giving day for me, and I give the gift of knowledge.
Nice.
That's like such a cop out, isn't it? I can't actually remember. It would have been something for my girlfriend, probably.
Okay. So here's another funny one. If a penguin was to walk into your house right now, what would you do?
I'd be pretty chill, I think. We've got a New Zealand Hunterway dog, So he's
Okay.
not like Great Dane size, but he's a big dog. But he's a total wimp. He's black and he's called Manson, as in Charles or Marilyn.
Okay.
So when you're shouting to this big black dog in the fields, Manson, come here, and stuff like that, people are like really scared. Then they get close to him and very quickly realize he has the personality of Scooby-Doo, and he's just daft. He's really stupid. So I'd love this penguin to come in and have a chat with him, and he would probably get slapped on the nose by this penguin, and that thought in itself is quite amusing for me.
Nice. I think we're coming up with a comedy show between the garden gnomes and the penguin.
Yeah, this is my life. But no, I love comedy though, because part of what got me into segue here, part of what got me into the entrepreneurial journey was a mental breakdown that I had in 2017, and the initial stages of getting over that were by watching a lot of comedy, quite dark and trite comedy, not trite, crass comedy. So like Russell Brand, Jim Jeffries, Ricky Gervais, Frankie Boyle, all of those really horrible comedy people. They're not horrible people, but the comedy itself is dark. And like, if you can't have a laugh about things, life's too short to be too serious. And that's part of what we teach in my program. Like, the ability to be playful in what should be a serious situation like business is a beautiful thing, and will keep you going for longer and give you more energy to tap into, rather than trying to be serious about it. Like, everyone hates the tax man, don't they? And if you think of a tax man, serious. No, but if you want to give a good customer experience, you can't be too serious about it, because, people want to have fun. People want to have a good time. People want to, if you're in the coaching industry, as we are, like, you help coaches, we coach people, you can't be too serious with people. Otherwise they just get bored and not engage,
Very, very true. And that's why our Entrepreneur Connect, I think, is so popular, because it's not just all serious. We get down to business, mind you, but we have a lot of fun too. So I totally on the right wavelength with you there. So that's awesome. Something that I didn't have planned in your questions, but I know a little bit about from you, is you have a background in music. So before we dive into your journey, can you kind of talk about that background in music that you have?
So I went from a few ambitions in school. Around 12, 13 years old, I saw Tiger Woods smashing it and thought I was going to be a professional golfer. Turns out, like, your odds of becoming a successful professional golfer are even less than winning the lottery. And then John Whiting talks about this, because he actually got close to doing that. But yeah, that wasn't happening. So I learned to play guitar, and wanted, from being around 14 years old, to be the next Kurt Cobain. But again, that's not a percentage play. But I played guitar in bands. I played bass in a couple of bands. And then the last band I did was like a metal band, and I was doing vocals. And I say vocals very purposefully. I was not a singer. I'm shouting.
A shouter. Well, that's all.
It was so angry as well. Like, my outlook on life and just the way that I live is night and day compared to what it was six years ago or so.
Wow. Well, all right. Let's dive into your actual journey now. Well, talk about kind of where you started and take us kind of through the middle. I know there's probably a lot to tell, but kind of fill us in on key points on your entrepreneur journey.
Cool. So very, very first exposure that I had to the idea of having an online business came from a travel blogger called World Nate. And he did a video that explained in a fair amount of detail how he makes a living online through basically affiliate marketing and traveling around the world. And I thought that was really cool. It was the first I knew people could have done it and could do it, but I'd never known any of the logistics of making that happen. Therefore, I never really thought to try and pursue it. And then shortly after that, I had that mental breakdown that I was telling you about. We'll skip over some of that. And it kind of went on the back burner for a while. And then I was working in London. This was the last time I tried to take my parents' advice when it came to a career. They said, use your degree, because my degree is actually in film.
Oh, okay.
So I got a job at a post-production house in Soho in the very center of London. And I was there on a 6-month contract, and it was horrendous. And like, I'm not sure whether I actually fully got out of the mental breakdown that I had previously, or whether it just continued up until then. But coming out of that 6 months, I'd gone to Budapest in Hungary for a week, and I'd come back like, I have to do something where I work for myself and I'm not under anyone else's watch or anything, and where I'm able to travel and where I can work from anywhere. I don't want to be, like when I was in London, like most of the money that you make in a month goes on rent, and then the very small amount after that mainly goes on travel on the Central Line. So there was so little left at the end of each month, and I knew that wasn't life. So at that point, I got into the digital marketing space, learning Facebook ads first, and then kind of went from there. That's how I started. The middle bit, did all right with the agency, hit 6 figures with one client. The first deal we did with them was for 8,300 for one package, and then their parent company wanted some services as well, which was an extra $5,000 on top, which was cool. But then I got to the point where like they dropped off through many different reasons. And thinking about that retrospectively, I was like, actually, this isn't really what I want to be doing anyway. And I wasn't having the kind of impact that I knew I could have. I've got a couple of clients still who are web design maintenance clients. And when I was first talking to them about their website and stuff, I was doing coaching on like what they could do to improve their business and the way to think about it. And I was thinking back on that. I was like, actually, that's what I enjoy, that interaction, that ability to give someone a new perspective and see it in their face when they go, that makes sense. I was like, why don't I just cut the fat, stop offering these services that I don't really care about, and actually try and change some lives as opposed to provide some leads.
That's awesome. That is awesome, man. So my questions, my notepad just went blank on me. So give me a second. This is live right now, people. So, all right. So now I want to dive into more around what your expertise is. So let's go back to the shift. As someone who's made the shift from one offer to another, for those watching or listening, what goes into that? What prompted, you kind of went into that a little bit, but can you dive a little bit deeper into why you wanted to make that switch?
So within the marketing space, I'm sure you know about this, probably more than I do, Doug. There's a lot of like tactics and strategy, and you have to keep up with what's going on with the new algorithm change and iOS 14 coming out and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And like when I was first starting out, that didn't seem to be so much of an issue. But then it started ramping up, and every couple of months it'd be like something else just dragging me back. And if it was what I wanted to be doing, I know full well I would have been able to smash through that and it wouldn't have bothered me, but it wasn't what I wanted to be doing. And at some point, if you're not doing the right thing, even if it's for the right reason, it then becomes the wrong thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And like, when you can feel that kind of misalignment with what you're doing, no amount of money is going to make that any better. So I had to make a change. I had to do something where I knew I was actually going to enjoy it. I say, like, I speak to clients about this. I've told people many a times in other conversations, but like negative motivation will only get you so far. Like my motivation to go into business because I didn't want to be an employee of this awful post-production house, it got me to take the leap, but it didn't get the parachute out. Oh, that analogy just came off the top of my head, but it's so true. Like you can use that push energy to push away from what you're wanting to not be associated with anymore, but you can't use it as vision. You need to have that vision to pull you forward. Taylor Welsh talks about push and pull energy quite a lot, and it's true. So there wasn't enough pull energy, there wasn't enough vision with the marketing agency side of things. And like, I know full well that like the whole idea of saturation is a mental block, but I saw it as kind of a saturated space. I didn't want to be trying to to keep hold of market share in that when I could just do something that I enjoy.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was.
Yeah, I love that view on where your passion lies, because you're never going to feel fulfilled or happy, even if you're making money, if it's in the wrong vehicle. Right?
Exactly. And the other thing I was going to say is, like, again, you know as well as I do, like the encouragement, at least from a few years ago, was always to write value posts, write value on the topic that you're trying to sell people. And I'd sit down in front of a keyboard and think, Facebook ads, right? What can I do to add value? And I'm a bit anal when it comes to stuff like this. Like, I don't want to be saying the same stuff as 100 other people in case a few people see what I've said. So I'm like, what can I say that hasn't been said before that's going to change people's perceptions on Facebook ads? And I'll be like, nothing, genuinely nothing. Whereas like when it comes to mindset stuff, I can sit down and just write or jam on a video or whatever, like talking to you now. I have so much more to say in terms of what just the subject matter and being able to add value to people's lives in around concepts that they haven't heard before. Everyone's heard of Facebook ads now. Like 10 years ago when they were coming out, people were already getting accustomed to Google ads. And then you go, hey, Facebook's doing this. Do you want me to run your ads? Boom, you've got a client, because the buyer sophistication wasn't there. Now it is. And I don't get to try and talk them around. Right. You know what I mean? Whereas like mindset stuff, I don't care if I talk them around. If I can give them some concepts that allow them to think better, and then a couple months, a couple years down the line, they come to me and go, hey, you know that stuff that you told me about? Like, you got more of that? Hell yeah, let's go. I can have that approach because it's what I actually want to be doing.
Love it. Love it. So let's touch on mindset. Why is mindset one of the most crucial things an entrepreneur can have? Like the correct mindset?
Great question. So when it comes to this, the analogy that I like to use is a golfing analogy. Because as we said, I thought I was going to be Tiger Woods when I was 12 or 13 years old.
I love golf, but let me just say I love golf and I play a lot more often now than I used to, but I had never had the aspirations of being Tiger Woods, and I know I never could be. You should never see me play golf. I'm not very good at it.
What's your handicap?
You know what? I don't even track my handicap. I just know that I shoot like 102.
The last competition I played in was a medal. So like, you have to take the gross score like the professionals do, and I shot 100 or so as well. So don't worry about it. And that's well over my handicap. So I'm expected to play better than that. My
goal was to get under 100. So
that's good. Yeah. If you can make a business work, you can shoot under 100.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been actually working on my swing. I've been working on my swing. But let's get back to the core question, right?
So the analogy that I have is a golfing one. Everyone wants all the strategies and tactics of how to do business. They want to know the latest Facebook ad hack. They want to know what subject line gets people to open cold emails, etc. All of those things are like being able to putt really well. Yeah. However, your approach, whether it's a golf shot or how you think about it, is absolutely key to whether the putting's even worthwhile. Because if your approach shot in golf doesn't get you on the green, being great at putting isn't all that useful. You need to be able to get on the green first.
Love that.
It's the same with business mindset. You need to have the approach that allows you to then implement strategy and tactic and then move forward. But there's so much strategy and tactic out there without the support mentally. Like, we both did that very well-known program, which you would have thought would have a lot of mindset work in it. And like, there was some, but like not enough really. There was very high expectations set just from the sales calls, for one thing. And then if you go into a program that costs 10 grand and they show you, this is how to do this, but we're not going to actually really show you how it works for your industry or give you a way of thinking about it in order to create it for your industry. But we've already told you that you're going to have 6-figure months in 30 days. When you don't hit that 6-figure month in 30 days, you're just left with disappointment and guilt and shame. And it makes you feel worth less, not possibly worthless as well, which isn't a sensible way of selling something to start with. So if you go into these things with a mind of balance and being able to see things more clearly, the positive and negative side of things, and being able to be like, what can we do about this? And move from a place of power as opposed to, like I said, fear or obligation, you're going to do better regardless.
Very true. If I could go back to your golf analogy, one thing that I could pull out of that as well is you talked about the approach. The first club you usually take out of your bag is the driver. So would you say, and it's kind of weird that the name is driver. So when you say like mindset is the driver of everything?
You've just completed my analogy.
And yes. having the correct mindset is driving it straight down the fairway, right?
Exactly.
Not left or right.
Exactly. I mean, all the great golfers are able to bend their shots. If you can do that with your mind. Wish I'd thought about this analogy to that length. That's excellent. Thank you very much.
That's going on my sales page. That's right. Well, it helps that I just went, I played a little bit of golf yesterday, so it was on top of my mind. So awesome. So I saw another post that you did about focusing on 3 things to control you can use to control your destiny. Can you tell us what those 3 things are?
At any point of your life, no matter what's going on externally, you always have the power to choose your perception, your actions, and your decisions.
Yeah. Awesome. So perception, actions, decision. And would you say they go in that order? Like you choose your perception first, your action next? No, I guess it wouldn't necessarily go in that order. I'm just thinking out loud.
No, I totally understand. I kind of contemplated that when writing that post. Not at all, because you can decide to change your perception. But then here's the caveat: you have to act on that. Right. So it's an ecosystem within the mind.
Nice.
You have to be able, but the big one is perception.
Okay.
Anytime anyone is upset or angry, or give me another situation that could come up in life.
Worried. I guess worried and depressed kind of go hand in hand, but worried, like anxiety, fear, right?
All come from your perception. Totally. And here's a bit of something that could get me cancelled, or whatever you want to say.
All right.
Unpopular opinion. All fear is actually irrational. So they say phobias are irrational fears. All fear is irrational to some extent, depending on your preparation for something happening. Because if you think about it, you and I don't know about you actually here. Me personally, I'm not big on being attacked by someone with a knife.
Oh no, I don't like that either.
You kind of say it as if it happens almost regularly. Damn it, it's Tuesday. I'm going to get attacked with a knife again. If somebody comes towards me or you with a knife, we go, crap. I don't know what to do because I haven't prepared for this. And you're going to get stabbed. If somebody with a knife attacks one of those people who teach people to ward off knife attackers, they're going to go, here we go. This is my ballpark. This is my jam. I'm going to take this guy down, going to take his knife and make him eat it. I don't know what these people do in their spare time, but they're not afraid because they're prepared for it. And then you can go, but what about death? What if a tsunami is coming towards you, big wave, and you know that you're 99% likely to die? If you're someone that fears death, then yeah, you're going to be afraid. If you are prepared and you understand that death is literally the one thing that we all have in common after birth and possibly taxes, then you go, I'm at peace. I'm going to die. There's no need to be afraid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So when you start thinking about it that way, you're able to neutralize more fear because you think, how could I prepare for this to happen in a way that I don't have to be afraid of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But then that also brings into the conversation an interesting topic around stress, because stress in itself is dictated by your perception of an event. So this is something like the science crowd will try and tell you that stress is formed because cortisol is fired around your body. But there's a spiritual element to that in which you perceive something which then fires off your cortisol. For example, again, if me or you stood on a Olympic 100-meter sprint start line and we're not prepared, we're going to be like, crap, this is stressful. And next to us is Usain Bolt. And we're like, I don't know what I'm doing here. This cortisol, that's going to fire off and you're going to freeze up. Usain Bolt, on the other hand, stood next to little old us, is going to go, I've got this in the bag. To be fair, if he's standing next to us, he's probably not even going to get the adrenaline rush. But if he's in an actual race, same situation, different perception, instead of cortisol being fired, adrenaline goes and he can perform better. And the situation's the same. You know?
It's just how he perceives it. How
All
you
down to
and I
perception.
perceive it, and how Usain would perceive it. That is awesome. Something else I want to dive into is, let's talk about desire versus intent, because I know you've talked about that before too.
Oh, so the anatomy of desire is that you're saying that you want something. Yeah. If you're saying that you want something, you're putting out to the universe, and this might sound a bit woo-woo, but your vibrational frequency will be that of, I do not have this. Yeah. And if we go off the philosophy of you get back what you put out in terms of reflection and projection, you'll get back, I do not have that. So in actually wanting things, in desiring them, you actually push them further away. So, and that's where, so we call that an infatuation. It's a bit of a different definition to infatuation, like at the start of a relationship, but an infatuation all the same. So if you're there feeling infatuated with something, you're probably repelling it, for one thing. And then there's also that like psychological need for it to happen. The more that you need something to happen, the less free from it you are, and the less free you are, the less you can tap into your potential and be free. So what we teach is that you clear a charge with that infatuation, and you become okay with not having it. So then, when you're okay with not having it, you're totally free to intend on just getting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So much like with like business success, if you feel like you need your business to work, you're gonna seize up and get capped. If that's why people hit plateaus in terms of revenue, because they go, oh, I've got this money. I've worked really hard to hit 20K, 50K, 100K a month. So, I must hold on to that. And that's why they can't go any further, because they're scared to lose it. If you become free and you're just like, I've got this far, I can do it. If I lose it, I'll make it over again. You are free to expand as far as you want to. You become the master of your universe, right?
Man, that is awesome tips. And I think about all the entrepreneurs that are struggling, that all they think about is how much money they need to make, right? And then they're not making the money because that's all they think about. They're not thinking about their service to others. They're not thinking about investing in their business, right? Yeah.
And like another analogy for that, if what I've said already wasn't clear enough, like imagine in a bar at 2 or 3 in the morning, just before closing time, you've got those guys sat there like, I really want to pick up a girl, and they're desperate, aren't they? Like they're repellent. Can't think of what the word. Repulsive. That's the one.
It. Yep.
Nobody wants to go near them
right.
because they're so desperate to be with a female. They want that. That's desire. Whereas you get the kind of jock type who's going to be in the NFL and whatever, and they walk into a bar, they go up to the prettiest girl that they can see and they go, hey, what's your telephone number? Can I get you a drink? That's intent.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
But
nice.
Then, interestingly, when the intent turns into desire and they get rejected by the pretty girl, but they go for it anyway, there's a switch, and then they get in trouble.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thank you, Robert. It has been a pleasure having you on the Entrepreneur Journey. Let's talk about what you have to offer. Where can people go to find out more about you, what you're doing, etc.? So
I have a free Facebook group. It's called the Elite Mindset Masters Community. If they want to jump in there, I will inevitably contact them off the back of them jumping into the group, sorry. And then if they do want more information about the actual program that I'm running, it's called Excellence Accelerator. They just need to jump into the group and they'll find out everything they need in there. Can you tell us a little bit about what they'll get if they come into the group? When they get into the group, they'll have a support network of people around them interested in learning how to think better. Nice. I haven't been doing enough recently because I've been working on the program itself, but I do go live, I do trainings, and there's posts and value, as we discussed earlier, as a buzzword. But yeah, there's stuff in there. And then if they want the free trainings that are on the replays, they can go through them. And then if they want information about the paid program, then it's all in there as well. Nice. And I think you've already displayed, when we talk about value, just the topics that we discussed here on this interview, your value is apparent to me, and I'm sure to everyone that's watched this. So thank you for sharing those. That means a lot. Yeah. So like something that I haven't touched on about my journey, like when you go up to being 27 years or so old, wanting to be the next Kurt Cobain, there's a whole lot of self-deprecation that is required to fit the role. So being of value now and people saying like, that's changed my life, it sparks something in me that like is just a little bit extra than what it would have done if I'd never had the experience I had up until being around 27. So thank you. I'm glad to have been of value. And yeah. I just think that's what we're designed. I mean, I'm a Christian, and I just think that's what we're designed to do. Is we're designed to give to the world our gifts, and I think you're doing a great job of that. Thank you. Something I would say, personally, I'm not religious, but if you want to know more about like the program that I run, something that we do say in there is what's true for you is true. It's not designed to conflict with religious beliefs. It's designed to add on to them, so you're able to be probably a better Christian, because that's something Christians aspire to, right? So it's about being better for everyone and being of value to everyone.
Nice, nice. Well, we're going to put the links to your group. To what's the name of the group again?
Elite Mindset Masters Community.
The Elite Mindset Masters Community. That link will be in the show notes. It'll be in the comments if you're watching this on video or on YouTube. It'll also be in the description. So once again, thank you so much, Robert. And until next time, Trailblazers, keep moving forward.